Thank you so much for your attention. My name is Silvia Espinosa, and I joined NYU Courant back in 2019 as an assistant professor, Courant instructor, and I would love to apply for the clinical faculty position. This video has three parts. First, I'm going to explain my teaching portfolio, including students' evaluations from NYU Albert. Second, I'm going to explain the way I teach, including students' comments and diversity inclusion. Finally, I'm going to explain my long-term plans to add value to the department in terms of curriculum development and versatility. And normally I use chalk and board to teach, but because I'm going to use students' comments, I prepare a presentation for you. So first, the teaching portfolio. So here in this table, one can see the courses that I've taught at Courant. So the semester, the course number and name, and here the student ratings from NYU Albert, overall evaluation of the instructor. So I'm very grateful for the encouragement, 4.9, 4.5, 4.8, 4.7. I've made all the categories available for you together with the teaching portfolio in the same PDF. So you have the complete Albert evaluation for each one of the courses. I would like to make three comments. The first one, I have experience with both lower undergraduate courses, such as Calculus 2, and upper undergraduate courses, such as ordinary differential equations. So I'm grateful for that because I feel that I know the student community here at Courant. Maybe the lower undergrads come from different majors, have different passions, and the upper undergrads are very focused in math and are more knowledgeable. Second, I've taught both small classes with less than 50 students in large classes with more than 50 students. So that has been really helpful to develop interaction techniques that I'm going to mention later on. When we have time to come to the board, and even if we have a very, very large classroom. So how do I get them to interact, even if we cannot do the board in 1 hour and 15 minutes? So that has been really useful, and I'll talk about that later. So the third one, I've also done coordinated and uncoordinated courses. So I feel that's really helpful because if I were to have to coordinate in the future, I feel that I know how to do it because I've seen you do it and I've learned from you, so thank you. And I've also developed a course from scratch, so ordinary differential equations. I made available also in the teaching portfolio. I put a link where you can see all the materials that I created from scratch, like notes for me, notes for the student, homework, midterm, final. So I feel that that experience is really useful with a view to curriculum development in the future. So second, I'm going to talk about the teaching statement, and I'm going to use student comments for that. And there are 5 main points. So the first one, preparation to foster understanding and participation. So she's great at explaining concepts and tracing back to different parts of problems, so every single step can be understood. So this is obviously not random. So I put a lot of effort in preparing the class notes and try different ways of explaining things where I think it's more straightforward. And I also ask the students to target the way I explain to the way they learn. And I'm going to show you an example of my notes. So you see that I put a lot of effort on the structure and the steps because I think it helps them learn. So second is engagement in problem solving. So teaching is not only like explaining well, I feel is getting them to learn, and you learn by practicing, you learn by interacting with your with other students, interacting in the board, like resolving problems. And also that's useful for life, because I feel that developing critical thinking is very useful. So every lecture, she was well prepared, answered questions thoughtfully, and facilitated the students' questions and interactions. So I'm going to show you what I do with the notes and tell you how I get the interaction going in a small and large class. So sorry for the white. Here you can see this is from ordinary differential equations. And I am a permanent resident now, but originally from Spain. So I feel better with them having like all the theory there, organized with different parts, like very structured. One way I get interaction going is asking them if they want more demonstrations, if they want more practice. And that breaks the ice and I get them more interactive, but they have all the theory. They have some of the exercises, which have like a lot of steps by steps, but they are different compared to my notes in the sense that some practice problems they don't have. And this is to encourage interaction. So if I had a small class, then I can give them some time to work on their own or in groups. And then I ask how many people are done. And then I ask, out of the ones struggling, like, is there any brave person who is gonna save them all? Because then I put them as the savior, right? So it's like a lot of people have the same problem. So thank you for volunteering. And when they feel rewarded and other students see that they are rewarded, then more students come in. So what happens when I have a large class though? So what I do is I ask them questions. So for example, there are normally steps. So I could ask, oh, what would you do first? And if a student volunteers, then the next question, another student. So it's, what would you do first? What would you do second? And they tell me what to do and I write it on the board. And I also survey them in the sense like, oh, who thinks the answer is gonna be 0? Who thinks the answer is gonna be, it has to be positive? Why? Why? Who thinks it's gonna be negative? So that way I get like a lot of people participating, even in large classes when they cannot come to the board. Okay, so third, observant and adaptable. So the best thing about the course was the instructor's consistency in making sure that all the students were being catered to. The professor constantly asked for feedback, which created a very dynamic class structure. So yeah, that's asking them like too fast, too slow, or asking them to vote even if I have flexibility with the midterms, like we stayed. So they feel listened to, and I also learned a lot from them, because some students really like a lot of demonstrations. Some students need more practice. Some students love to work in groups. So by asking them, I get a lot of information and I can target the class to the way they learn. And 4, student passion, burning bright. So you can also tell she genuinely loves the subject and topics she teaches. Passion passes on. So I think a professor told me that if at the beginning, the students want to come in here to Courant and they want to develop a model to model biology or physics, and then they leave and they just are interested in a large salary, then we are doing something wrong. So I took that to heart and I asked them at the beginning, like, what are your passions? And I try to incorporate that because I know it's the drive. So if they tell me whatever topic, I try to pick problems that are connected to that topic to target also the class, to the students, and fuel that fire. Finally, the diversity, equity, and inclusion. So this semester was extremely challenging for me, and the instructor never failed to make me feel supported and gave me the resources to help my class progress. This is from the middle of the pandemic. So this is very important. Actually, I feel that the best way to bring diversity is by example, because the students relate. So I had some female students come to me and tell me about their problems. If I think they are severe, I refer them to mental health. But if they see things they relate to, something they feel understood in a way, with international students as well. So I am a permanent resident, but originally from Spain. So they feel that, the challenges they have with language barriers, I went through that too. So they feel understood. And the same because I think you don't need to be in a minority to feel lonely. So there are a lot of students that feel stressed or going through a lot of issues due to the pandemic or whatnot. So I listen to them too. I consider them a minority too. Everybody can feel lonely. So I pay a lot of attention to that too. And I refer them appropriately. Okay, so this is finally the third point, which is like a view to the future and hopefully how I could add value to the department and your group. So I've told you so far what I've done at Courant, but before I came to Courant, I took a PhD and a postdoc at MIT, and there I was an teaching assistant, and also unofficially I also prepare a graduate course. So I have experience with graduate courses from there, as well as with research. And here at Courant, especially during my last year, I've been a member of the magnetofluid dynamic division, which I think the head may be leaving this summer to work in industry. So I feel that I could help a lot in curriculum development. So he was teaching fluid dynamics, complex variables. So if you needed help in the future, I mean, I would love to help with calculus 2 and linear algebra, especially at the beginning. But I would love to be a clinical faculty for life. So I'm also thinking long-term how I could contribute. So I think I bring to the table the ability of developing graduate courses too in the future. I've also done a lot of outreach in MIT. So if that was needed by the department, I could also contribute to that. And I know that the salary for clinical faculty is for 9 months. So ideally, I would teach over the summer too. But if in the future the needs of the department change or whatever, I have experience in supervising students. Here I've done it at Courant with math students over the summer. And I've also, when I was at MIT, I got grants of 0.2 million and 60K research grants. So, like if I can teach over the summer, great, but if in the future the need change, I feel that I can also take students and bring my own funding if that was helpful. Thank you so much for your attention, and I would love to talk to you in person. Bye.